And today's video is likely to be a train wreck. So we're gonna replace those handlebars on the Sport Glide. Now, luckily, the tank is already out of the way because, well, it's been getting custom paint. That's a whole nother video though. It is good that the tank is out of the way. I think that's gonna make it easier. The reason I say this is gonna be a train wreck is because I have never changed the handlebars on a newer Softail. In fact, the last time I did anything, I changed handlebars on a 2000 Dyna, but there was no internal wiring. The last time I did internal wiring on the handlebars was in somewhere around 18 years ago on a 94 Dyna lowrider that is there. Yeah, where those triple trees are and no handlebars. That's because somebody wrecked it after I did it. But the fact is, I have not done handlebars on a newer Softail, so I'm learning. And I'm gonna watch a video from the highly trained, unprofessional John Maxwell that I found to see if I can do this based on what's in his video or if I'm a total screw up. But we have a set of KST bars that we're gonna put on this 2019 Sport Glide, and Firecracker is on her way up here, so I had to record the intro before she gets here because they stopped at the liquor store and we have friends coming. So it may get into a crazy video, but we're gonna have some fun doing it one way or the other. Let's get this thing started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get the speakers and start tearing the handlebars, the stock ones off and stuff. Get that cleaned up and get that off there. And then we'll see what it takes. Now for this job, we only bought an upper ABS and an upper clutch and the wiring extensions because according to what I read from Harley Davidson, you could add taller bars. They were Harley bars, not the KSTs, but they listed these parts, and that's what we ordered. So that's what we're gonna try and make happen. So I'm gonna show you where the wiring harness stuff we found is. It's up in the neck here of the frame, but there's a rubber cover you gotta pull out, and it's a little hard to get all this out, but it's up in here. So and there's where the connectors are that you have to unplug to plug your extensions in. Run the slack up here to the base of the handlebar, pull it through so you know which side goes to which side. The purple, blue, and black wire are for the turn signals. There's one on each side, so you want to keep track of which one's which. The top is the, I think, did we say the right side?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Top right, bottom left.
We pulled the right side up here and got all the slack out so that they can hang down further from the bars. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. We're gonna leave the brake hooked up for now because we need to get that fluid out of there before we take it apart so we don't get brake fluid everywhere. The handlebar control's all loose from the bars. We've taken the fork brace off, rolled the handlebars back. This is what it looks like once you get it rolled back. So the question is, can we push these through these holes with the connectors on them? Or do we gotta de-pin them and then pin them back after we rewire them through the new bars? I'll let you know in a minute. There we go.
Do the smallest plugs first. Makes sense. Get the small ones through. Coming out, just the opposite. I'm putting them back in. Put your biggest in first.
Well, we're loose.
Now the hard part.
Well, let's take this over to the bench and do it. There ain't no sense doing it right here. It's all free.
Throttle by wire is pretty much the same thing. It just slides in, it clips in. Finger pressure should push it out. If not, small screwdriver or something or another just to push it from the opening out. You do have it all the way back to here once you get it, and then pull your wires right on out and you're ready to go back to the new one.
All right, guys, it's the next day. We got the throttle by wire cable through, but we couldn't get anything else through once we got it through, and we tried pulling it and one of the other two cables, the lighting cable, through at the same time, and we had a hard time getting through that meat hook at the top of this, that angle. I'll show you that there. So I went home, watched some videos, some tips on wiring. We're gonna try some different stuff today and see if it'll work or not. And if not, then I'm gonna cut the connectors off the goddamn thing and run them through there and then have to solder them back. Let's hope we don't have to do that. And I know everybody says you shouldn't have to do that, but you know, a lot of people that I've talked to that do this, do it. So whatever, I just gotta get it done. All right, so we've got the wires all taped up. We're using paracord as a leader line this time. Let me show you what we've done here. So here's where your throttle by wire comes. This bar is notched out for throttle by wire in case I didn't show you that earlier. And then these are where the controls and the light cable come through. And we've got all three coming out here. Some people use an air hose to blow string through. String might have been better. Paracord's a little thicker, but it's strong. And we just tied a nut and worked it down through there with the weight of gravity and the nut to get it through. So I'm gonna lube the crap out of this and we're gonna pray like hell. Big globs for the throttle by wire because it's the biggest cable. Another thing we did on here is we ran electrical tape from the end almost all the way to the metal control piece because this sheathing is about twice as big as it needs to be. Thank you, Harley Davidson. Learn to use shrink wrap. Shrink this shit down, make it as small as you can. Quit making life difficult on everybody who wants to upgrade their bike. That's why we buy Harley Davidsons. No reason to make our life more difficult. Shrink tube. If you need the part number, let me know. All right, we're gonna cut the connectors off of the light and the controls, run them through and resolder them because I can't get those connectors depinned, even though I watched a video that says, oh, it's really easy, do it this way with safety pin. It didn't work. So we're not gonna cut the throttle by wire, it's through. We're gonna try and leave it alone and just cut the other two that we have to get through here. We got tired of fighting it and I have stripped the sheathing off the control cable because Harley leaves a bunch of air in it. And I'm putting shrink wrap tube down it in sections and getting that really small and tight. And then we're gonna try and feed that through with the wiring, with the lighting and see if that works. All right, so we got the right side done. We were able to work it through really slow, really carefully with the clips cut off for the controls and the lights and did not cut anything on the throttle by wire. So here's what it looks like where it comes out. That's our controls, that's our lights. This is the throttle by wire with the connectors are still underneath it. This has got a loop because we staggered this so it wasn't all, so we're trying to keep that gradually getting bigger, not a big bump at once. The big problem, of course, on this was these meat hooks, getting this through here and then back down, but we've got it done. We pulled all the slack through for now so that I can solder the wires back together, and then we can pull this back what we need once I get the connectors back on this, and we put the pigtail extensions on right here. So let's get to it. We're gonna try and do the other side. Once we get it through, then I'll be ready to take the lead wires off and start soldering and putting connectors back on. What you think's funny there? Why'd that make you laugh?
You must know what you're doing there. Hey, wait, maybe?
I'm twisting them as I go through.
Okay.
We should be going.
We're coming. Hey, look, we're through. All right, well, right there are the bars. We've got them put back together. I finished soldering the wires up and taping them up, and I think we're ready to kind of fit it on the bike, see if the clutch isn't about the right place, put the controls on that side together, and I'm probably not tackling the ABS tonight. So this has been enough work as it is. Let's see how this goes. So okay, we've got the slack out of the clutch cable now. I'm gonna work on getting the upper ABS line off and get that all fitted up there and the new cable on next. This is something totally new for me. I wasn't able to buy a service manual. They didn't have one in stock, at least not a physical copy, but I might have found one online I could download. So I do have a service manual to refer to because the parts instructions now just say refer to the service manual, which is a great big help. By the way, service manual was $130 is what I was quoted by the dealership. If I found a service manual online for download, it was $30. I didn't drain the brake system before I took the brake master cylinder off the old bars, and because the cable's shorter, I can't put it back on the new bars to hold it in place. So I've taken the old bars and kind of wedged them through the triple tree in the headlight area and then put the master cylinder back on it so I can get it level. So I'm going to take the top off of it, drain the master cylinder before I go ahead and start bleeding the brake line empty before I disassemble the upper brake cable from the existing master cylinder. Alright, we got the brake fluid bled out of the master cylinder and I think out of the line through the bleeder on the lower caliper. So I'm going to go ahead and start disassembling this upper brake assembly, and hopefully we don't get fluid everywhere if I've done this thing right. And then I can swap out the hoses, put it back together, and then we'll have to fill it back with fluid and bleed it back down through the line and get all the air out. We're about to fire it up. I've got the tank and the fuel lines all hooked up and the speedometer. I've got one wire for a turn signal up here on the left side I've got to redo. When we took it apart, that light was actually pinched from Harley Davidson in the controls and the wires were bare. I covered them with black tape, but they're not working, so there's probably, once I took them apart, there was cut and they lost contact or whatever else, but I'm gonna take it apart and fix it. But other than that, I hope everything is good. As far as I know, it should be, if I didn't pull too hard on the wires, screw up a plug, whatever else. Let's see what the hell happens. Let's see if I got it right. Y'all can take bets now. Well, for all of you who put your money against me, you lost. I didn't do a half-assed job on this. It still runs. Like I said, we got one light to fix, but that's not my fault. I just realized we didn't put an ending to that video when I went to edit it. There'll be a full review of these KST double trouble bars over on the Riding in the Ozarks channel. If you want to know more about the disassembly of the Sport Glide for paint and everything else, we already did a video of that. That'll be linked at the end of this video. And stay tuned, because the next video is going to be reassembling it with the new paint on it and showing you what the completed bike looks like with the new bars and the paint on it. I want to apologize that you guys had to look at my ugly mug throughout this video. Normally Firecracker does these, but this was a project she wasn't comfortable doing, so I did a lot of the talking about what we were doing as we installed the bars and stuff in this. But in the other videos, she'll be more involved, especially in the future upgrades on the Sport Glide and stuff. She's going to try and get more content out this summer, so make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. We'll see y'all in the next one. Stay safe. Keep on riding.